everybody, it's Jameson, aka Shadow again, and this is the first time in almost 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks or so I've actually been able to make a video. Work has just had me slammed. Now, before I go any further, I think I was wearing an orange shirt in the last video, so don't think I've been wearing the same orange shirt for the last 2 weeks. It's just that I have about 6 of these orange shirts. They're from work, and I have a bunch of them. So I thought that I would answer the questions that I posed to everybody for the contest. Now, before going any further, I want to thank everybody who's responded so far. We've had some great answers, and I know I don't post on everybody's page, but I want to thank everybody who subscribed to me since I put up the contest. I think I've got almost 100 new subscribers. So I want to thank everybody who subscribed, and thank all the previous existing subscribers. Remember, you still got almost 2 weeks until the 15th, so a little over 2 weeks to get those responses in. So I'll answer the questions now. I'll respond to myself, basically, even though I'm not entering the contest. Maybe I'll enter and fix it so I'll win. No, just kidding. So the first question I had was, how did you get started in the hobby? Now, for me, I got started, or at least I was exposed to Warhammer back in the 80s. I was into Dungeons and Dragons, and I think I told this story one time before, a long time ago, in an old video. I was in the game store, and I came across this, which was the first edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Came across this book, and coaxed my mom to buy it for me. And I got it home and was looking at it and reading it, and could see that it was made by Games Workshop. This was when they were making this themselves before they licensed it out to what is it? Who does it now? Let me look up here. Fantasy Flight Games. Who does it now? Had a brain for it there. So anyway, got this book, got it home. I was doing some research, and heard of a magazine called White Dwarf, and I looked that up in the game store, found an issue of White Dwarf, and I bought a couple issues. Now, amazingly enough, the very first issue of White Dwarf I bought was the first issue that they announced, the first Warhammer Rogue Trader, Warhammer 40K. And so that's how I was exposed to Warhammer and Warhammer 40K, was through White Dwarf back in '87. At the time, the whole notion of buying models and assembling them and painting them just did not appeal to me at all. I was much more into role-playing and the building up of imaginary worlds, that type of thing. Wasn't so much into the model making type thing. But that's where I was first exposed to it. We flash forward about 13 years or so to the year 2000, and some friends online that I was chatting with in a forum, Warhammer 40K came up, and everybody was talking about what armies they had and how many points they had, and I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that game now. I remember reading about it, and everybody was making out how fun it was, and I thought, yeah, maybe I'll go check into that. And that's when I went out and I bought the Warhammer 40K 3rd edition starter set, the one with the Black Templars and Dark Eldar. Got that, got a starter paint set, and thought, well, I'll practice on these 5 snap together Marines out of the starter paint set before assembling the stuff in the big box. And so I put the 5 snap together Marines together and painted one halfway, arms, legs, and then I stopped. And that was all I did for 10 years. I put it aside, fully intending to get back to it the next day, and the next day something prevented me, and the next day after that something prevented me from getting to it, and it was just easier and easier to put it aside, even though I always intended to get back to it. I moved into this house, brought the stuff with me, set up my desk, even then intending to, I have a little place here to work on my Warhammer stuff. But the years went by and I never got around to getting back into it until last year, late 2010, early 2011. So, even though I was exposed to it when it first came out, I'm still kind of a noob. At least to consider myself a noob. So, yeah. So, the next question I had was, Excuse me. Are you a gamer or a hobbyist? At this point, I'm definitely a hobbyist. I have never played a game in my life of Warhammer or 40K or any war game for that matter. Doesn't mean I don't want to, it's just at this point I'm not interested in doing it yet. I'm having a lot of fun just putting stuff together and painting them and taking my time doing that. At some point down the line when I have a full army put together, then I'll probably venture into the local game store and ask somebody, hey, it's my first game, show me the ropes and all that. But right now, just a hobbyist. Question 3, what was the first model you assembled and painted? Well, it was that snap-together Marine out of the old 3rd edition starter paint set. There were 5 Marines, and I put them together, I primed them white, and I started to paint one as an Ultramarine. I got his arms, I got his legs, and that was about it. 10 years later, I finally finished him, and I finished that whole squad there in kind of, what was it, Power Rangers theme, but that was the first one I ever did. Took me 10 years to finish him. Question 4, what is your favorite paint? Well, as a lot of you may know, I have a lot of paint. And I've gotten more paint since the last time I've showed off my paint. In fact, I think a lot of you might faint if you saw how much paint I had. I can honestly say I don't have a paint that I really dislike. I guess if I was going to choose a favorite, I'd go with Reaper. I like how that works, but I seem to be pretty adaptable. Reaper, P3, Vallejo, even the new war paints from Ari Painter. I can work with them all. Citadel, not the greatest paints, but I can work with them. So if I had to choose one, I'd say Reaper, but there really isn't one that I hate at this point. How would you rate yourself as a painter? 1 spastic gimp or 10 golden demon? Well, I am far, far, far from being a golden demon winner. That's so far down the line in the future, it's not even worth contemplating. But I don't consider myself a spastic gimp. Now, when I took 10 years to paint that one Marine, that was spastic gimp painting. I slapped paint all over that thing and had to do touch-ups and fix it up. It was a nightmare. It was a mess. And that was just last year, a year and a half ago or so. Or about. But I'd honestly say my painting has improved over the last year and a half or so. I am not a spastic gimp, but I'm not much better. I would say 2, maybe 3 tops. Doing these orcs lately, I'm satisfied. I can do a decent tabletop paint job, but there are a lot of things that I need to improve on. But I'll say 2.5, 2.5 to 3 is where I rate myself. What are your goals as a painter? Any techniques that you have yet to master? Yeah, everything. Just my goal is to improve. I'm not even thinking of trying to win any awards or enter any kind of contest. Mine is just to improve. Techniques that I would like to master is like wet blending. I've practiced on some sprue and was not happy with what resulted. So that's something that I definitely need to work on. I want to work on. Highlighting. I need to get my highlight lines a lot thinner, which is one reason why I've held off doing the highlights on my Black Templars, because they're black and the highlights are going to be in gray and they're going to show up pretty good, or at least be highly visible, and I want to just slap those on there and have a real sloppy looking. So I need to improve my highlighting, and I haven't done much highlighting with the orcs. I might go back and practice a little bit, but highlighting, wet blending, and of course down the line I'd love to learn how to do object source lighting, but I'm not even going to attempt that right now. There was one miniature I was painting and I accidentally, almost slightly got that effect. I had to clean it up a little bit because it looked like crap. It almost looks like OSL, but no. The one thing that is my nemesis are eyes, whether it's a Space Marine helmet lens or orcs or goblins or whatever. Eyes are just my worst thing. I cannot get the eyes good. No matter what size brush I use, no matter how thick or how thin I get my paints, I just cannot get the eyes very well. And at this point, Like when I did the orcs, I ended up just getting the red all over the eyes and the area, and then having to go back with the green and cover up the red that I got outside of the eye. Eyes are my worst thing, and I really need to improve on that. So that's one thing. What does your wife, girlfriend, other half, or family think of your hobby? Well, my wife, she likes it. She wishes she could do it. She has a herniated disc in her neck, which prevents her from bending over too much. So she can't sit and assemble or paint things too much, which is why I have to assemble and paint her armies. But she's very much interested in playing the game once the armies are assembled, but she's in no rush. She would love to be able to paint them herself, because she's kind of that creative type person that would love that, but she's just physically unable to do it. She doesn't mind me doing it, and she has never once bitched or moaned about the amount of money I have spent on this hobby, because she spends quite a bit herself on her own hobby, and I don't bitch about that. So she's okay with it. End of story. You know, nothing big going on there. It's all good. Next question: have you personally experienced any ridicule for your hobby? No, because I've kind of gotten into this here at this age. I really don't know anybody that's going to give me any crap for it. I have had things shipped to my work and showed off some of the stuff to some coworkers, but they basically were like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." I have no idea if once my back was turned and I was out the door, they snickered and thought, "Oh my God, he's still playing with toy soldiers." But at this point, no. In the past, I have been ridiculed by some of my family for being into, fantasy and science fiction and that kind of a thing, whether it be games or books or movies. I am the youngest child out of 5. I have 4 older sisters. So they've always whispered amongst themselves about how weird I turned out to be. But no, not really taking too much ridicule for the hobby. Have you ever thought about giving up the hobby? Well, since I'm new, not really. And with the amount of money I've invested in it, not really. I'm very slow at painting, so I can definitely see where I'll go a while and then kind of back off and take a little break and do some other things, and then, go at it again. I paint slow. I don't paint every night, and when I do paint, I only work on 1 or 2 models a night, so it's taken me a while to paint stuff. I would like to get a little faster, but no thoughts of giving it up. I know that down the line I'll probably take a little break here or there, but always come back to it. So, no. And the final question, which has got everybody in an uproar and a lot of people hemming and hawing. Yes or no, is there a cuter wargamer out there than Warhammer Joey, aka the Joey Berry? It wouldn't be fair for me to ask this question of people and not answer it myself. And my answer is, at this point, no, there isn't. She's awfully cute, but she also is bringing a lot of energy to the hobby. And her videos are great. She's very creative. And if you're watching, Joey, thank you very much for being a good sport about this question. And I hope you don't send me a bomb in the mail. So my answer is, at this point, no, but there are a lot of cute girls out there that I've discovered that actually are in the hobby. So those are my answers to the questions. Everybody, thanks for responding. And for those of you who haven't responded, there's a lot of people that have subscribed to me since I put the contest up. You get those responses in, and there might, I'm not promising anything, but there might actually be some additional prizes. I have to look and see. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.